This is the first of two use cases that my friend Max Lewis provided me with that demonstrate the fact that the default Yara rules that QRadar's QNI comes with can detect a lot of suspect content. You don't need to create your own Yara rules. You can for searching into anything inside the actual payload. We're not talking about logs. We're not talking about net flows. We're talking about inside the actual payload that QNI can detect whatever is it that you are looking for by using Yara rules. But this is QNI's out of the box without me creating not even a rule for this to work. And to test this out, what Max actually did is that we are going to open a browser here and we're going to go to an Nginx web server that it's going to allow the loading of a malicious site, malicious executable, payload.exe, right? If we hit enter here, you see that something was downloaded. We can even see it here, that's the executable. I'm not going to run it. You see that is not Max made it innocuous, so it cannot contaminate system. But anyway, I'm not going to try to invoke it. So by just doing that, I waited around 2 minutes for the payload to be inspected, the IPv formatted flows sent into QRadar, and the custom rule engine firing, and we got this offense. Actually, this IP address is the network. This is a machine that is connected to a switch, and that's the address of the actual switch. Let's dive into the actual offense, and we see that this rule in QNI observe file has associated with malware threat actually fired, right? We can even see more details about it. Let's actually look into that only flow that came in. As you see, no logs, just one flow. Let's take a look at it. So if we click here, we see the important part is this one, suspect content. That indicates that these Yara rules Windows executable detected that thing is an executable file that came, and that's a default Yara rule that exists. That's a default QRadar QNI rule that exists. I didn't have to do anything into it, just the actual traffic needed to flow on it. Actually, I'm gonna be switching to the traditional QRadar interface to take a look at this flow, and I'll show you why. I don't know how to do that trick in this new view. So this is the flow that is associated with that offense, and notice that you know that came from QNI because the source, destination, and total bytes is always 0, because that's a summary that after the whole conversation, all the flow records went through, QNI send me a summary of that, what happened. But you can actually see all the details of this by performing the following trick. So we're going to be actually filtering on the source port. You say, well, why? That's going to give you the same information. Yes, but now I can clear this or the filter. This is a trick that Max also showed me, and I can see the actual content of the entire thing. So if we click on let me click just on the first one of these flows. This one will be explaining it later. I'm running a beta version of the network traffic analysis. Great app, by the way, but that's another thing. But so we can actually go down here and look into the payload. Notice that MZ that actually in forensic this is what denotes an executable file, right? This is further proof. Okay, let's actually keep on seeing what other information is in here. Let's go back to the other part and take a look at this one. See, that's the Nginx. That's today when we actually run this. Let's go back and look at the summary. This one with all the zeros, and this is QNI telling me the summary of this. Well, we can see that the URL is exactly what I typed. The suspect content is an executable. We saw that. What else? There's a file hash. Let's actually go into VirusTotal and take a look at that. So I'm copying that particular hash. I'm here in VirusTotal. Could have done this also from the X-Force, but let me do it in here. As you see, a lot of things has flagged this as something malicious. In fact, if we click here under the behavior, notice that Max made this innocuous by putting an IP address that is not resolvable, does not exist. So this is not going to infect anyone. Okay, but here is an example of QRadar with basic Yara rules in QNI, basic rules in QNI, detecting something malicious in nature. I'm going to show in a subsequent video of this. I'm going to be showing a similar example of PII information exposed and getting a Yara rule firing on it. Of course, I mean, you can write sophisticated Yara rules. In fact, let me actually show you a simple Yara rule file. Let me find one. This is a simple example of a Yara rule. So for example, this one, the name is rule internal use only file. So this is for information should not be leaving the companies. So when this one filed, you'll see in the suspect content that title in there. And notice that what it's doing is looking for strings, you know, these two strings in there. If either one or the two are actually found, this Yara rule will evaluate true. This one detects the word Roji, and apparently that's something that the Chinese have in their versions of malware, so you can actually detect that. This one is an example in which by using a regex we detect a social security number. So you get a flavor. It's not hard to create Yara rules, but out of the box QRadar comes loaded with a couple of them that will enable to identify situations like this one.